is Jerusalem? Is Jerusalem in Europe? This is a very serious question that many people are questioning. Yeah?
Indeed.
Yes? Okay, now. Now, when anybody thinks of Jerusalem, it goes back down to the Old Testament in the Bible and the New Testament. Yes?
Yes.
So this is where people will look for the evidence of to see where they're going to find Jerusalem. So now the thing is, many people are asking about the Bible. Yes? Well, let's make things a bit simple. Yes, because what they've done is people could study for 10, 20, 30 years, 40, 50 years, and they'll all be baffled about the Bible. The Hebrew Bible, Hebrew this, Hebrew that. People are going to quote saying, hey, you know, the English language has got many Hebrew words. The French language has got Hebrew origin words. The Hungarian language has got Hebrew origin words, etc.
Right.
Yes. So this is what people are going to talk about. Yeah. So now I'm going to send you a few pictures. You can upload them into the conversation video and
Yes.
share them, and people can check these so that people can check these quotes themselves. They can check everything online themselves. Yeah. You know, the details in history that nobody bothers to check because they're lazy. So I put them all in several of my books to make it easy for you. Now I've just sent you a picture, and I'll read it out to you. Now, this is Hebrew during the Middle Ages. The Middle Ages is 1,000 years. They say from the 5th century to the 15th century. Hebrew was not a spoken language. Nobody speaks it for 1,000 years. Okay. Now, when we look at Arabic and Hebrew have a minimum similarity of 58 to 60%. Now, the first Hebrew dictionary that was ever made was made by a man called Ben Yehuda, and he came from, you know, Eastern Europe. They say Lithuania, around there. And he went to live in the Middle East, in Palestine or Israel, whichever one you wish to call it. And he created the first ever Arabic Hebrew dictionary. Yes? So nobody was speaking this Hebrew language. Now, let's have a look what language the Jews spoke for 1,000 years. Let's have a look. And then people can think for themselves. So one, Hebrew language is not spoken for 1,000 years. Yeah. And they're saying it's not spoken for 1,000 years, but let's go through some details. Now, during that 1,000 years that the Jews didn't speak Hebrew, minimum 1,000 years, yeah, let's see what they were doing. Yeah. It says that for 1,400 years at least, yes, the Jews spoke Arabic until the end of the 17th century. So up after the 18th century, they weren't speaking Hebrew. They were speaking Yiddish, or still speaking Arabic or German or French or Italian or Persian, wherever they were. Now, I've sent you a new picture. Yeah. So in that new picture, it explains that Arabic was the spoken language of the Jews from the 1st century onwards, or from the time of Jesus Christ. So we're talking from the times of Jesus Christ, the Jews were speaking Arabic. I've sent you many websites. These are quotes in the New York Times and many other places, so people can check this themselves. Now, in Spain was the biggest Jewish country with the most Jews in the world.
Just to read
during the Middle Ages.
One quote from what you sent, it says, Spanish Jews spoke Arabic and synagogues often emulated mosque architecture. How convenient, no?
Oh yeah, my book explains that more. Now, the thing is, let me explain. So they're speaking Arabic, and there's it's like, for example, today you will find most of the German people living in Germany, most of the Chinese living in China.
Right.
Most of these Jews during the Middle Ages for 1,000 years, they lived in Spain. They lived in Spain, and the majority of the Jews all over the world, the majority, and their language was Arabic. And historians say they copied Arabic architecture, but who said they copied? What if it's the other way around? What if the Arabs copied from the Jews? Yes, because if you open up the Quran, a major part of the Quran just speaks about Moses and Jesus Christ. Now, another thing is the Jews were writing their religious books, everything in Arabic. Then suddenly came along, let's say, the church, and the church, their leader was called the Pope. Now, when you say the Pope today in English, people think it means Pope. Yeah, but let's speak a bit of Mediterranean language here. It means Papa. Yeah, Papa. This is in the modern
Right.
pronunciation. Or let's speak in the Middle Ages. It means Baba. Baba. Baba is coming. The Pope, everyone was scared of him because he said, I'm your dad, man. You must do what I say. Everyone was scared of Big Daddy. Yes, that's who the Pope was. So they had inquisitions and saying, Baba is going to kill you, man. Baba said you've got to do this. He's your dad. Do you understand?
Right. Yeah.
Yes, people don't seem to get it. Nowadays, they say, oh, Papa. And, you know, they've even made adverts of Renault car adverts to show, Papa e Nicole, c'est romantico. It's a beautiful language. No, it's not. The Pope, the popes were military generals during the Middle Ages. People don't seem to go and check this. You know, we're talking about generals here, you know, like gangsters.
Right.
Yes. So the Jews are now speaking Arabic. Yeah. For a thousand years or more than 1,000 years. We don't even know how long. They've been speaking Arabic, and we don't even know what they spoke before then. But now mysteriously, so the Pope and the boys come along, and what they do is they burn everything in Spain. It was called the Inquisitions, and they burnt everything.
Oh, and
So
even here,
after they
just
burnt,
to insert one question or one reference, if I understand correctly, they always talk about the Cathars, right? And then just from my very basic Greek understanding, isn't catharsis, doesn't this have to do with literally burning? So couldn't this also just mean that the Cathar is the one practically to be burned at the stake by the Inquisition? Or am I wrong?
okay, yeah, and those are when you go through the official history. Now, I'll give you an example. When somebody talks about let's say the Turks, yeah, this is a classic thing. If you're in Europe, you will understand. There's Turks in Turkey, there's
Right.
Turks in the Balkans, there's Turks in Germany, there's Turks in England, there's Turks in France. So when somebody says the word Khatar, yes, Khatar en français, le Khatar, oui. If you're going to talk about these people, yes, in English they'll say it with a K, Qatar. In Arabic, you could say Qatar. Yes. The thing is, and then if you go to Eastern Europe, you'll say Qatar, Khazar, and from there comes the word Khazar, Caesar, 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 Caesar. So this is more of a deeper subject. It's a longer subject because the evidence shows that they migrated from Eastern Europe, a lot of them from Eastern Europe, and they went to the West. And that's why in Catalonia, Catalonia, yes, which is Barcelona, yes, they've got a lot of Slavic words. But then
Right.
a lot of Slavic words are actually similar to Arabic. And somebody will say, what are you talking about? Let's say if you will say the word Petrovna in Ruski. Ty говорите по-русски? Ты
No,
знаешь русский?
Russian I don't speak, no. I'm sorry.
Oh, ты не знаешь, ты не понимаешь? Okay. Yes, Petrovna is just a name. This will be Petrov, na, vna. Petro and vna. So now, if you said this in Holland, you will say, instead of vna, you will say Van Petrov. Yes, or like a football player,
Right.
Marco van Basten. So Marco van Basten in Russian today will be Bastovna.
Yes.
No, Bastanovna. Bastanovna. Now in Arabic, this will be instead of Ivna, it will be Ibn.
Uh-huh.
In modern Hebrew, it will be Ben.
Yes.
Yes. So now the thing is, so nobody speaks Hebrew. So now mysteriously we've got all these Hebrew Bibles, and somebody makes a Hebrew dictionary, yes, after 1880. Now, and nobody speaks Hebrew. The country Israel didn't exist. So let's have a look where this Hebrew language came from, even today. And then we'll go on to the Old Testament after that. You'll soon start to understand it. I'm giving you quotes from the man himself who created the Hebrew language. And this is, you can find it in Wikipedia or Haaretz, which is a Jewish
Right.
newspaper. And this will tell you what the man Ben Yehuda himself said when he wrote the dictionary of the Hebrew dictionary to create the Hebrew language. He turned around and said, Arabic roots are ours. The roots of Arabic were once part of Hebrew language, lost, and now we have found them again. And then he said, to revive or recreate Hebrew, we reasoned. And he said, I have turned to her sister language, Arabic, following the deeds or following the works of our ancient scholars. This means the ancient scholars of Hebrew, they turned to Arabic when they compiled Hebrew themselves. Then he says, I've identified hundreds of Arabic roots in, in Palestinian, Jordanian, Syrian languages. And I found these Arabic words in the Mishnah and the Talmud. Mishnah, Talmud, and the Hebrew Old Testament are the three main Hebrew books for religion. And then he said, to fix the problems, supplement the deficiencies, fix the problems of the Hebrew languages. The committee means him and his workers. Yes, according to the rules and grammar, we fix the problems to create the Hebrew language, especially from Arabic. We did it from Arabic. And then he said his dream for the rebirth, because he says Hebrew was spoken thousands of years ago, but the people have forgotten. Was it really spoken? And then he says they created the rebirth of the Hebrew language from the embryo, like from the baby, from an Arabic baby. You understand?
Right.
So now let's go. Let me explain that in simple language. Eliezer ben Yehuda said that the roots or the heart of the Arabic language were originally part of the Hebrew language. He said that these Arabic roots were mysteriously lost and were found again in the Arabic language when the modern Hebrew language was invented. Ancient Hebrew was not the only thing that people like him founded. Well, that's another story. Well, he said that to recreate the modern Hebrew language, he was able to do this only by turning to the Arabic language. He said he did this because he was following the example of our ancient scholars. These ancient scholars, whoever they are, thousands of years ago, it seemed like you saying, I know some ancient scholars from Germany, 2000 years ago. Rubbish. So he said these ancient scholars used the Arabic language to create ancient Hebrew. He followed their example and did the same thing. He turned to Arabic to create the modern Hebrew language. So imagine if I'm creating a new language today from German words, then this means German is the original. Hebrew was not a spoken language at the time. Are you beginning to see?
Yes, yes.
And the Mishnah and the Talmud is already there. Yes. So
But
and
what
then
were they written? Do you know the original
they were
versions
written
they
in
found?
Hebrew.
Okay.
But we've got a problem
Okay.
now. Many people have never actually opened up the Mishnah and the Talmud, the old manuscripts. I'll show you what's in the manuscripts in a minute, and you'll be surprised. So now I'll send you a photograph of Ben Yehuda. He's creating the Hebrew language. And in that photograph, you'll see he's compiling the dictionary and he's got Arabic books on his desk. And what he's doing there when he compiles the Hebrew language, he's actually giving them meanings. So now let's imagine I'm creating a new language and it's called the language of Antarctica. And I'm going to create it from German. So I will take the words Guten Tag. Instead of meaning good day, it will mean bad day. I could change the meaning. So this is one of the first things that him and his committee did. That's one. Then another thing is what wait, let's go through the Hebrew Old Testament itself now. Now, the Hebrew Old Testament and the Mishnah and the Talmud, the way it's written, I'll give you an example. Let's say I'm talking to you right now. Now, many people who don't speak English probably won't, common English, like inside England or inside America or Australia won't understand. But if I'm asking my friend what they're doing in the evening, I will say, "You coming out tonight?" So now, if you are writing Hebrew, you will write this down. You will write this down exactly like this.
Yes.
Ukomi not on it. That's what it will look like. It's because the people who wrote the Bible, the Mishnah, and the Talmud, and all these books, call it Babylonian Talmud, Hebrew Bible, Aramaic Bibles, or whatever. Yeah, there's problems. Yeah, because there's no proper words. There's no proper sentences. It jumps from subject to subject. That's why all the translations are different in the last 400 or 500 years. There is no Hebrew language. We can't find one. It's because that's how they wrote it. Like, "You coming out tonight?" and would be written Ukominaut, O-N-I-T or something like that.
Okay.
There's no spaces, there's no spellings, there isn't even a language. So now we've got a problem. Whoever wrote the Old Testament wrote it like that. Yeah. So now, if anybody read the translation of the Hebrew Bible into German or French or Italian or English in the 17th, 18th century, those translations made sense because those languages actually had a dictionary. That the dictionaries were created by the Jesuits and their friends, the humanists, whatever they call them. So Hebrew wasn't even a language. We can't find anybody who spoke it. We cannot actually find a date when it was spoken. But what we can see is that minimum before the 17th century, at least for up to 2,000 years, the Jews were speaking Arabic. So if Jesus Christ lived 2,000 years ago, yeah, the Bible says, yeah, Jesus Christ came for the lost sheep of Israel. This is what it says in English. So now let's have a look at this. Jesus Christ said he came to save these Jewish people. The Jews were speaking Arabic. What language was Jesus Christ speaking?
Well, most likely Arabic as well. I guess, yeah. I mean,
Yes,
what
do
else?
you see what I'm getting
What
at?
else could
It
it
doesn't
be?
make sense. Now this is something that, and then if Jesus Christ came, and they're telling us he came in the deserts of the Middle East, but most of the world's Jews, when the Arabs invaded Spain 600 years later, they're living in Spain officially,
hmm
and they're speaking Arabic. And then they're telling us that these strange people came out from Saudi Arabia, yeah, on camels, and then they jumped on their camels and they went crazy and they managed to invade,
Yeah,
many
yeah.
countries
Yeah, yeah,
along
right.
the way, and then they ended up going into France and then almost crossing over into Germany
Yeah.
until Charlemagne or Charles Martel stops them. Does this sound realistic?
Yeah, that's the official story. Yeah, yeah.
Okay, then I want you to imagine if somebody turns around and says to you from Afghanistan, yeah, a bunch of guys are going to get on their camels from the deserts and they're going to invade all of Europe, cut through Russia, Germany, and then they're going to be on the doorsteps of the Vatican. Yeah, within 50 to 60 years. Do you
Ma
believe that?
yeah.
And their language is going to be spoken throughout that region and everything. Does this sound logical to you?
No, and maybe this is a good point just to very briefly revisit the whole idea, because again, in Vienna, as I may have mentioned before, this is one of the things you learn in primary school, which of course makes it very suspect. Everything you learn very early, as we know, is where you are most easily conditioned to just accept whatever you are told, because how to know anything different? And the thing they always talk about is the Turkish besieging of Vienna.
The sieging of Vienna, there's two of them. In 1683, when the Turks invaded Vienna, yeah, more than 70% of their army, it looks like, yeah, was Christians.
Right.
And then when you look at the flags of the Christians, they're exactly the same as the Cathars and the Knights Templar. Yes, and they're attacking the church. But before we get at that time, mysteriously, they're saying there was a plague throughout Europe.
Yeah.
Yeah, and millions of people were dying, peasants. Yes. But then if you go to the other side, nobody's going to check the Muslim side of the story. The Muslim side of their version of the story is, hey, there was many. I'll give you an example now. There was many requests saying, hey, come, the churches, the churches are doing something to us people, and many of us are dying. We're asking for help. We're talking that as far as West Germany, in the city called Erfurt, where they say the Protestant Reformation, what's that guy called? Luther had it in Erfurt. In that city, half the population died. Half the population died, and they say, oh, it was just from a plague. Oh, okay, it was a coronavirus.
Right,
These people
exactly, yeah.
died. And the Turks didn't go there. So what did the Turks really come for? This is more explained in my book Skull and Bones and in the book Crusades. But let's stick to where is Jerusalem, because that topic is very, very long. So now, and this is what is going to get to you now. Now, what I've just said, I've gone through the basics that the Hebrew language is suspicious. Nobody's spoken it. So this means the Hebrew Bible is impossible.
Yeah.
We can't, even the Jews were speaking Arabic for 1,000 years
Right.
or 1,500 or 2,000 years. They mysteriously started speaking Hebrew, and then the Hebrew language, there's more evidence to to show that that book was written after the 16th century. But anyway, the suspicious thing about Europe is this. Now, before we read the next page that I've sent you, and the thing is, imagine if you want to find Chinese millions of Chinese coins. Are you going to find them in Brazil, South Africa, or China? Choose only one.
Well,
Where will you find
I'd,
millions of Chinese coins?
I'd first try China.
Yes. Yeah. We know you're going to find them there. Now imagine if you want to find millions of dollars. Are you going to find them in Uzbekistan, or in Argentina, South Korea, or the
Well,
United
I
States?
mean, by now you're probably gonna find them there as well with all the drug trafficking and so on, but
But
generally
I'm
United
saying the
States.
majority.
Yes, 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 yes,
I'm
United,
saying
yes.
where will you find 80% of the world's dollars? 80%, let's
Of
say the
course,
majority.
within the domestic supply within the US, yeah.
You within the okay. Now, where are you going to find Russian rubles? 80% of them. Are you going to find them in Zimbabwe, Venezuela, or Russia?
Same story, I'd go for Russia first.
Russia. Okay, now, if you're looking for Arabic coins, yes, from the Islamic times, not from the modern times, in the last
Yeah,
1,000 years, yeah, where will you find 80% of the coins? I'll give you four choices:
I'd say,
Uzbekistan, the Middle East, North Africa, or Europe.
yeah, I'd say, I mean, Spain, Europe, and maybe even Germany. There's, yeah.
80%, 80% of the coins. Where will you find them?
I'd actually say Europe now.
Yes, it's actually in Europe. Do you know what the other 20%? You'll find 5% of them in Asia, India, places like that. 5% of them in the Middle East,
hmm
Arabia, and 5% in North Africa
Then
and
let
Africa.
me just bring up one very brief thing. There is a guy in Germany called Mario Pras, written with two S.
Yeah.
He's talked a lot about the different languages and just as you mentioned, Tata, Oppa, Papa,
Mm,
father,
yeah.
how they all seem to be related. And his theory actually is, or the way he describes it, is that in his mind, much of the goings on in the Bible could actually happen in a particular place in Germany, where you even have different districts that seem to be named after these events and where they have some particular relics and so on. So there's at least one popular theory that this is a German location
Oh,
or
okay.
something. But I'd be curious what you
Actually,
think.
actually, actually, most people have not read Anatoly Fomenko's books. All these Tataria groups started because of him, mainly because of him. Millions of people now know through Anatoly Fomenko's works that the events in the Bible happened in Europe.
Yeah.
Yes, so he's not wrong. But anyway, now we've got a problem because the majority, millions of the world's Arabic coins are in Europe. Yes, they're in Europe. And do you know what they're telling us? That, for example, every year there was at least 1 million Arabic coins in circulation in Northern Europe, Germany, Denmark, Holland, other places, Russia, Poland. And the thing is, they found millions of these coins. There's some collections have 500,000 here and there. The big collections, um, is it 500,000? No. Half 100,000, 50,000, this, that in many museums. There's so many of them. Now, the thing is, all these coins, they've got them in Europe. And then when you ask them, where did they come from? If you're going to ask professors in Denmark, they'll say, oh, they don't, they came from the deserts of Uzbekistan. And coins in them days were not like coins today. They were actually made from real silver and real
Yes.
gold. So it's almost like they're telling us that 80% of all the hundreds of millions of coins, actually, they say that it's estimated at hundreds of millions of coins over a period of 1,000 years throughout the whole of Europe. And they're telling us that all this gold, yes, mysteriously came from Uzbekistan or the deserts of the Middle East or the deserts of North Africa. That these people were so rich.
Yeah.
And they had that many Arabic coins that they were exporting so many of them, but 80% of them are in Europe, and the 20% is, in the Muslim countries.
Yes, it's a
Does this
joke.
sound
I,
normal to
I
you?
even saw this example, I believe it was in the BNF Galicia, in the French one or something, or even in the Austrian National Archives. Like one of the oldest things you can find is actually like a coin. Maybe even you mentioned this with the, I want to say croissants, but like with the moons on it, the crescent moons and so on, and the
Yeah.
cross. And they are like supposedly, I don't know, some European rulers' coins, So yeah.
Yeah, but the thing is, it's crazy. They're telling us these coins came from there. Here is an investigative report from Oxford University, the Oriental Institute, and here they say they're doing a specific research program here, and they're talking about 1 million the dirham currency. There was different types of Arabic coins. So for the dirhams, there's 1 million Arabic silver dirham coins have been found in Northern Europe. And they're telling us that these coins came from the deserts of Iraq and the deserts of Uzbekistan. And then I read through that report and they're saying, oh, don't you know, they were selling slaves. They were selling slaves from
Uh-huh.
Denmark, from England, from Holland
Oh,
and Germany.
so the
And
story
they're
is that
selling them
Europe
to
sold all their
Uzbekistan.
people and took the coins for it. It sold them to Uzbekistan or what, as slaves? The Europeans? I mean, what?
And then when you go to Uzbekistan itself, when you start looking for these coins, you can't find any. Or
Yeah.
you'll find it hardly any, and then you turn out, and then when you tell those people over there, saying, "No, that's your currency, but that's over there." It's same like telling, yeah, the people in the people imagine, what do you call it? I go to China right now, and then I tell the Chinese people, "Don't you know Hitler was Chinese? Hitler was a Chinese man. I no joke. This is the truth. Hitler he lived in Shanghai a very long time ago." And then I tell them this story, saying, "No, it was 1,000 years ago." And then everybody will say, "Why can't we find any of these German, relics or anything here
Right.
from the German army?" And then you turn around and say, "You just don't know." It's like a bogus story.
Yeah.
It's clear it's a lie. But now we've got a problem. What the hell are all these millions of coins doing in Europe that say there is no God except Allah?
Mm-hmm. And as I mentioned
Yes,
before,
because that's what these coins
even
say.
in German and even today, or even in English, all, or in German, alles. Yeah, so
Yeah.
everything. Yeah, so yeah.
Oh, yes, Aleman. When you're talking about the
Oh,
Aleman.
oh, also
So
this Allemand is, yeah,
yeah,
you're right, you're right. Yeah, yeah. Uh-huh.
right, right. The lying about the word Alemania is because when you look at the word
Allah,
Holy
man.
Roman Empire, the word holy, yes, nobody is holy except God. The word holy is a name for God. The
Mm-hmm.
word holy in old Germanic languages is Halle or all.
Mm-hmm.
Yes, it just means Allah. The Arabic word for holy or all is Allah. It's the
Mm-hmm.
same word. Yes, Holy Roman Empire, Allah's Roman Empire. You
Mm-hmm.
can check it out. So the thing is, it just means halal with a H. That's why the Yiddish people don't say salam; they say shalom.
Mm-hmm.
But yes, you
Mm-hmm.
see,
Yes.
yes. So they say it with a H. Yes. So you take the H out, it's Allah. So the Allah now the Crusades. Now everybody, the Crusades, they've told us it's a story of the Vatican getting the people of Europe together to go and fight the Muslims.
Right.
What if it's the other way around?
Mm-hmm.
What if the truth is the whole world was fighting against the churches?
Mm-hmm.
Yes, because now this at first I thought this sounds a bit strange, but then I had a look at half of Europe is Slavic. Now the old Slavic word, this is shocking. You can check this out. Now the Slavs are almost half of Europe. Yes, half of Europe is a big
Right.
thing.
Right. Mm-hmm.
Yes, half of Europe. Yes, and don't forget they influenced the neighbors and other people. The word Christian in the Slavic language during the Middle Ages meant that you've basically become a slave or a peasant. The Russian
Mm.
word for peasant, the Slavic words like East Slavic, like Serbians, Polish, people like that. It's like I'll tell you what used to happen. Yes, I'll provide more evidence for it, but let's begin with the first part. Now, the thing is, what people don't look at is in the Middle Ages, anybody who was under control of the Orthodox, the Greek Orthodox or the Roman Catholic Church, yes, they were 80% of the people were peasants, serfs, slaves. They give them different names, but basically they were slaves. Yes.
Hmm.
So now Eastern Europe is a place that these churches couldn't control. Yes. And so in Eastern Europe, they used to turn around and say, hey, um, has he become a Christian? It meant that he's become a slave.
Hmm.
He's been captured. Yes.
Right.
And his land is now under the authority of the Pope or the Orthodox Church, that he's got to work and do what they say, and etc.
Yeah,
Yes.
basically like an indentured servant, and even to today, even the state of Austria, whatever this should be, has official contracts with, the Vatican and so on regarding education, and who knows what goes on in the background. The church still owns huge swaths of land in Austria, for example. They own the best
Okay.
land, so still today.
Okay. Yeah, that subject is a deeper subject, because that's to do with another subject. For example, the New World is America. The New Testament is the new religion called Christianity, the New Testament. The Old World is the old, yes, the New Testament, the New World, and the New World Order. Now, they made plans to divide and rule the world, and it had to do a lot with buying and selling land and exchanging people and peasantry. And this system was started by the Vatican and the people around the 15th, 16th century. So that with the land. But yeah, so because it's another long subject, we'll leave that for another day.
Right.
But anyway, can you imagine right now if somebody said, oh, are you going to prison? For somebody to become a Christian basically meant that to half the people in Europe, you've become a peasant or a slave, and you've just become under control.
Hmm.
It was terrifying. It was like a nightmare saying, oh no, we don't want to be Christians.
Right,
Yes.
right.
That's what it's hard to believe, but that's what it was. Now the thing is, yeah, if you really check the Middle Ages, yeah, all these people were peasants and they were serfs. And the thing is, they said that the Crusades, everybody imagines stories of European men going on their horses
Yeah.
to fight against people, Arabs on camels. Yes.
Yes, yeah.
Yes. Now the thing is, what people don't realize is the way that the world order has done everything today. You can't go anywhere. You can't use the road with a car or anything without their permission, without paying them. You can't cross the borders. You can't do
Yes.
this. You can't do that. Yes. But in the old world order, yes, I'll give you an example now. Imagine Europe in the last 50 to 100 years. For every car that they made, the amount of mining, the amount of time and effort and everything that was taken, and for the global economy, people working in the third world, getting the minerals, processing minerals, everything to make a car. And then that car was useless after a few years, 5, 10 years. Yes. And they keep replacing them.
Hmm.
Now, what they did in the last 100 years, that would have been enough, probably would have been more than enough, actually, to build the entire countryside so that people could have their own land and their own
Right,
homes,
for
don't need to
sure.
pay rent.
For sure, yeah, for
Yes.
sure.
So now the old world system was not poor or backwards. So now when we're talking about camels and crusades, yes, now this is shocking. I've just sent you a picture. The Russians and the Germans in World War I and II. Have a look. What can you see?
What? These are the Russians and the Germans?
Yes,
They
World
have
War
a,
I and II.
well, they are running around with what looks like, I mean,
Camel.
camels, yeah.
Camel. Yes.
Okay.
Yes. So now the thing is, when people talk about the Crusades, yes, fighting against people with camels, what people don't know is that before the 19th century, camels were common throughout Northern Europe. Yes.
Really? Really?
Yes.
Hmm.
They got rid of them. Yeah, they slowly got rid of them. And now they've made you think, people have only had horses. Horses, you've got to look after them. They get tired after a certain distance. They can't go through all these conditions. Nobody's remembering the camels. Yes. So now that's one major thing. Now, so it changes the story of who were they fighting against in the Crusades. Now, the word Arab. Let's have a look at to the Slavic language. They're half of the people of Europe. Yeah, I know many people in Western Europe don't exactly want to know, but we can't ignore their history. Yes, if we don't look at their history, we're not going to understand. Same like many people don't want to look at Turkish or Middle Eastern history. If we don't look at the world's history from every corner, we
Yes,
are not going to find the truth.
yes, yes.
It's going to be a mistake. Like, so to the Slavs, Christian, that's what it meant. It was a nightmare. Now, the word Arab in Slavic languages, anybody, the word Arab actually meant servant or slave of God.
Mm-hmm, mm-hmm.
Have you received it? I've sent
Yes,
you
yes.
a page. You can
Rab
check it in.
in Old
Yeah.
Church Slavic meant both servant and slave of God.
Yes,
Mm-hmm.
a spiritual person, an honest person. You could trust him, respect him, and that's why Eastern European Jewish leaders eventually
Oh,
became
sorry.
rabbis.
Sorry that I have to mention this now, but or not sorry. Exodus recently did an interview with Alexander Dugin, and he mentioned the Turanian civilization, and
Dugin
he's
or Drugin?
sorry?
Drugin or
Dugin, Alexander
Dugin?
Dugin.
Okay.
And this is a philosopher, professor. And he mentioned that there's this, he calls it Turanic civilization. And he also
Yes.
says that he calls it the civilization or something of the raven. Maybe something different or not. But I'm just noticing right now that here it says the word Rab in Old Church Slavic means servant and slave of God. And Rabe in German is raven. So I'm just
Yes.
wondering if this
Well,
may can be
yeah, and
connected
as you've
somehow.
said, Turan, I'll get to that in a minute. It's like I hope this Alexander Dugin, yeah, has a look at history from a global point of view, because if we don't, we'll never understand. Yeah, Mediterranean Sea, Mediterranean, middle of Turan. I'll get
Yeah.
to that in a minute. So now the thing is, it this is from the it survived in the Slavic language, but this doesn't mean that that word was not used in Germany, because in Spain it's being used. Because in Spain they're saying, hey, it was an Arab civilization. Yeah, it's been the Turks used the Arabic language.
Yeah.
What the hell was going on? So the word Arab actually simply meant servant of God or somebody who you could trust. Then
Mm-hmm.
eventually, as time passed, it became somebody for a spiritual teacher or a rabbi. Yes,
Yes.
or in the modern sense, the word Arab today, it actually means anybody who speaks the Rabbi language.
Yeah.
Like if you go to Egypt or somewhere or Syria, if they'll stop you and say "Kalima Arabi, Arabia, Arabi." It means, do you speak Arabic? If you do, you're classified as an Arab. Simple.
Uh-huh.
Yes. Yeah. So it's not a race. So the
Yeah.
thing is, so the meaning has changed, but the old meaning is somebody who was a servant of God. So now we've got all these Slavs and Germanic people called Alaman. They're called the Aleman or Alaman. Yes. And these people are attacking the church. Yes. The Alamani tribe. Yes. Can you imagine right now? Imagine you are living in your estate, yeah, and you're fighting with the boys from the next school, but you're not fighting just street fighting. You're killing each other. Can you continue fighting with the next school for 100 years? You can't, because
Mm-hmm.
people are going to die. It's ridiculous. Men, women, children. Am I correct?
Right. Mm-hmm.
Yes. Yeah. Imagine your school is fighting with the next door school. Now, the strangest thing is these crusades, yeah, and these inquisitions and these war against the barbarians, the church was fighting the
Exactly.
crusades.
That's what I
They
was
were
thinking
fighting
about because
every
also the
year.
Germanic, it sounds like the Germanic tribes in these supposed Roman stories, even if they're fake, but it's because they were basically fighting against people living like in Germany type region, no? In the
Ah,
Roman stories.
but wait, there's more. The Germanic tribes are fighting the Roman Empire, according to official history, when the Roman Empire had fallen and it was Christian. They weren't fighting
Mm-hmm.
the Romans, the ancient Romans. The ancient Romans didn't exist. That's another
Right,
story.
right.
We'll handle that next time. So they're fighting these Romans who are Christians with the Vatican and the churches. So you
Yes,
can read the
yes.
Aleman are attacking every year and they're mysteriously burning buildings that are churches. And then the Crusades, nobody's ever checked these details. You can actually check them. Do you know what the Crusaders were doing? They were burning churches. Yes.
Uh-huh.
Many people don't check this, but let me send you this. This will actually shock you, and you'll think, "What the hell is going on?"
I
So
mean,
these
because the first thing coming to my mind would be the, generic satanic reversal to basically think everything they tell you officially in reverse. So Could it be that the crusade was actually against the church, or
Yes.
yeah?
This is what I found. It's because I'm going to show you something now. It's this is in my book. Um, it, this is in my it's in my new book. What's it called? The Last Crusade. The strange thing is, yeah. This will actually shock you. But wait, let me just send you evidence, or otherwise there's because many people won't check. Like for example, when there is a boyfriend and a girlfriend, when one of them is cheating, you know they're telling lies because you catch them in their own story. Yes.
Right.
So the history that they tell us,
Right.
if we check what they say, and if
Yes.
they've made
Yes.
they'll call it a mistake or an error, but from there you can find the lies. So now let me just find the crusade, the crusades, because the strange thing is, yeah, what they don't mention is that the crusades, especially the fourth crusade, they don't give you any reason for it, which sounds like rubbish, saying that these people, they went to Constantinople, they stormed that city and they destroyed it and burnt it to the, burnt the churches. They were just attacking Christians. So now these are people who are Christians who are killing Christians. So now the church found no excuse to explain what was going on. So they just turned around and said, that's because they're different Christians. So there is the Pantocrator or something. It's a church, yeah, that eventually they say the Turks burnt it down, but from the evidence that we could see is that the Crusaders and the Turks must have been together, because they're trying to say it was separate things or whatever, and then it says that the churches were massacred, and it says this is the Fourth Crusade. I've just sent you something, and then they say the word Greeks. Now, the word Greeks is a lie. I'll prove it in a minute. It's saying that these people were smashing the statues, the icons, and they were burning all these New Testaments. Mysteriously, these people were burning the New Testaments that were in Greek, these Crusaders. There's no Turks there now. This is the Fourth Crusade. Yeah. And of course, they're going to exaggerate and saying and it says they were drinking wine as if wine was not supposed to be drunk in Christianity. Hey, that's strange. I didn't notice that. And then it says they were massacring these Christians. Yeah. And so they're trying to say that that's a separate event. Let me see. And then let's see what these Crusaders did. Ooh, they're burning Gospels, Greek Gospels. The books, the works of art, any works of art of the Virgin Mary and anything, they're burning them. They're breaking all these idols, pictures, everything. What the hell's going on here? Do you see what I'm getting at? I've just sent it to you there now. Yes, you can check it. The Fourth Crusade, anybody who studies it will say, this doesn't make sense. Yeah, can you see it?
Yeah, I got it. Yeah.
And then they're saying this crusade was supposed to go to the Middle East, but by accident it went over there. Yeah, and then they're calling these people Catholics.
Right.
So now I've sent you a few more things. It says these Catholic looters went, but they didn't steal much. They were just burning everything. Yeah, and things like that. They were just murdering people. Yeah, and they were basically damaging Christianity. And then I'll send you the Aleman, and the Aleman were doing the same suspicious thing. Yeah, let me just show you what it says here. Right now, when you read the story of the Aleman, this is when you think, damn, what is the difference between the Knights Templar, the Cathars, who did the same thing? They were going around attacking the church, and the Muslims and the Turks. They're going around attacking these Christians. So now these Germans, I've just sent you a page. They're going around burning Christian sanctuaries and churches. These were the main attacks they were doing, because they were coming at nighttime, going to, they weren't attacking Christian people. They were just attacking, the sanctuaries. Because I'll give you an example, what people are imagining today. Now, when people imagine that today, they're imagining in Paris or London or New York or Vienna, a bunch of, let's say, Alemanni, Germans, or let's say Muslim Turks or Slavic Russians, just coming here and at night, just burning a few churches and smashing things up, coming quickly and then running away. Yes? That's what it sounds like to you, this story.
Yeah.
No. That's not what happened. These church buildings, what were they? These were the buildings that I want you to imagine now. It's the Middle Ages. Yes, the church is going into Alemanni villages and they're kidnapping people.
Right.
They're kidnapping people, and then after that, these people become slaves. Now, I'll give you an example of what happened with slaves. No, that's showing that the Quran tells people you should set slaves free. It's a commandment in the Quran for righteousness. Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, the Arabic language was banned in Europe. So the Arabic language was banned. So they had to create Hebrew because the Jews spoke Arabic. That's why they created the New Testament, by the way. Yeah. So the Arabic language was banned in Europe. But let me just find what the position of slavery was. Let's go back to the word Slav. So now the word Slav, yeah, what they'll tell you is in European languages, they're going to say in Latin, servi, or Greek, servi, it just means servant or slave.
Yes.
Blah, blah, blah. Yeah, that's what they're going to say. And then the Alemanni, they've also called them the Suevi people or Saban people or Suevi or anything, or Swabians.
Right.
You know, they call them the Duke of Swabia.
Yes.
Swabians, yes.
Schwaben,
And the strange thing is, Spain was called Sabian. Sabian, Sapan, Spain. Yes, so it had a similar name. So this was a global title: Slavian, Sabian, Servian, or whatever. It was a global title. Now the thing. So let me send you more about this. So the thing is, they say it comes from the Greek word. It's a lie. It's not from the Greek word. It's a lot older than that. Yeah. Now the thing is, at first I turned around and thought, hey, Professor Anatoly Fomenko pointed out. Let me show you an example. He pointed out that here's helmets of the princes of Russia. Yeah, and he's shown many examples in Russia of armory and many things. The princes of Russia have got Arabic writing on their golden ornaments on their helmets and crowns.
We spoke about
so
this. Yes.
Then I thought, so then I thought I'm going to have a look at the Arabic language for the word Serbian. So they're going to say it's in Latin. It means slave, servant, slave, Slavian, blah blah blah. It's like an insult, and everybody knows that these Eastern Europeans, they've been looked down on for centuries.
Yeah.
And it is an insult, and they're not going to speak up because they don't know. They've forgotten the history. When you forget something, or when you go to official schools, they don't teach you because the people in power don't want you to know. But anyway, I came across this from this Canadian professor, a Canadian professor from the University of Montreal, Philip Lazinski, and this is what he pointed out from Byzantine documents. And now Byzantine documents have the same problem as Hebrew. There's no proper words. Now we can't even find a Byzantine language. They've just got like strange Greek words that don't make proper sentences. This is the New Testament. That's why the translation could be anything, and then the Greek language had to be invented. But the thing is, from some of these documents, these Byzantine documents, historians will say they're from the 15th century or before, or 12th century, but I'm guessing that they were modified and updated and prepared in the 17th century. But the thing is, even from many Slavic dialects, what we know is that the word Sabia or Saban or Slavan, or you could say Slavan, Slav is in English, but they're not English, so they will say, Yaslavi or Yaslavi. You understand? You almost can't hear the letter L. Yaslavi. Yes. So the word Slav actually, or Serbi or Sabian, Serbian, or just meant somebody who worships God. Now, when you look at these Greek church documents of the Orthodox Church, now this is very shocking, because today countries like Serbia, because they're fighting against Croatia in many recent struggles in the last 200 years, struggles for Croatian independence and Serbian independence.
Right,
and things
all the
like
Balkan
that.
wars, of course.
Yes. Now, most of these things happened only in the last 200 years.
Yeah.
But the strange thing is, the word Slava or Sabian in the Greek language, in their documents, these people were insulted by the church in Constantinople, showing that these people are worshippers, that they worship God. yeah, that the word Serbian or Slavian meant people who worship God, but these people refused to be right worshippers. Right worshippers means refuse to be slaves of the churches. You see?
Yeah, 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 of course. Worship
In
God and
other
not the church. Yeah, yeah, it's not allowed.
Yeah, in other words, I am a German, but I refuse to be a German citizen
Yeah.
because I don't want to pay tax.
Yes,
Who are
yes.
they that I've got to pay them tax?
Of course,
Yes.
yeah.
So yeah, so that's what it was. So then it became an insult. Then I thought I'll check out the word. Who are these Serbians,
Yes.
Swabians, the Alemanni? And then I realized, hey, the Slavian or Sabian didn't mean a race, because there's no way that you can turn around and say that the people of St. Petersburg look like the Slavic people who are in Serbia.
Mm-hmm.
Totally different. The height and skin color, many things are different. The darker in the Balkans, on average, compared to the people
Mm-hmm.
in the north.
Yeah.
Yes, the people, many of these Slavs, like for example, I know a family who are in Vladivostok. Yeah. When I went to Vladivostok, and they just look 100% Germanic to me. Blonde hair,
Mm-hmm.
blue eyes, and the facial features. They weren't white like the average Russians, and they didn't have yellow-colored skin. They had pink-colored skin, just like the Germans.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. In Nakhodka. Nakhodka is Primorsky in Vladivostok. I've been to that region, so all the Slavs aren't the same. So now then I thought I'll check out what the word Sabian means in the Arabic language, because we've got Spain as well, Sapan. Yeah, so then when I checked in the Arabic language, it actually means the same as Slavic. It means glorify,
Then
glorifier of
I
God.
just have to ask now, because we're already on this track, then Saban, then what about Japan or Japan
Ah,
in German?
well, that title is new. It's because we'll have to deal separately with Japan,
All right.
because it's a totally different world. Yes.
Good, yeah, good.
Yeah, because we've got limited time and so much to mention. So now
Indeed.
we've got a problem. We've got a serious problem here. We've got Russian princes, yes, who are they're telling us these guys are Christian, yeah, and they've got Arabic La ilaha illallah
Yes.
on their helmets, yeah, and they're saying we're going to die for the prophet. Yes.
Yeah.
These Russians, yeah, and they're telling us that these guys are Christians. Doesn't make sense. Then they're telling us that the especially these Serbians and these Slavs are supposed to be Orthodox. But then
Mm-hmm.
when we look at these Byzantine documents, they're the people who refused.
Mm-hmm.
But then we've got an even bigger problem. Now let me show you this. Yes, this is even worse. Now this will now this is going to shock you now, and it's going to shock everybody. Can you imagine right now? America is called America. Imagine if I change the name of America and I say, no, that country is called China, United States of China.
Mm-hmm.
Imagine if I went to America, if I took over the whole country, and then I control all the schools,
Mm-hmm.
and then I tell everybody, and I keep repeating it for 100 years,
Yes.
and anybody who refuses has to go to prison, or I'm going to burn them alive, and things like that, like the Catholic Church did,
Yeah.
Inquisitions. And I'm telling everybody, you are Chinese. Ancient China
Mm-hmm.
is in New York.
Right. Yeah.
Is it? Yeah. And then people will say, what about Beijing and Shanghai? And you say, no, that's America.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. Of course. Yeah.
Can you imagine? So now this is going to totally shock you now. Because many people don't know this. Yeah. And the thing is, there was no Byzantine Empire.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
And you'll say, are you sure? Now, I've just have a look at this. Wikipedia, they turn around and say Constantinople was called the Second Rome or Eastern Rome.
Mm-hmm.
Can you imagine right now if I said, where do you live? Yeah, where do you live, Raphael?
Vienna.
Right now, which city?
Vienna.
No, it's the second Vienna. Do you live in the second Vienna or the third Vienna?
Yeah, good question.
Sounds
Yeah.
ridiculous. Yes. So now they're telling us Istanbul was called Constantinople or the Second Rome.
Mm-hmm.
Actually, it was never, nobody's going to call it Second or Third Rome. Yes, it was just called Rome. Now, when you have a look, yeah, this is officially known that the word Byzantine was invented, created by what do you call it? A humanist. Humanist are people like the Jesuits and the Masons.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Invented it in the 16th century, and nobody used that word until 200 years ago.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, it seemed like I am inventing a new word for the Austrians.
Of
The
course. Yeah.
Austrians are South Africans. They are South Africans. That country is called South Africa, and Vienna is called Johannesburg.
Yeah.
That's it. And people call it the second Vienna. And then you'll say, why are you doing that? And then what I do is I've taken over some land in Greenland, in the middle of nowhere, and I set up a city there, and I'm going to call it Vienna.
Yeah.
Yes.
I mean, it's literally,
And
isn't
so
that
I've stolen
literally,
your name.
but isn't that literally what they did, for example, in America and many places? Oftentimes there's
Right,
names
before we
repeated,
go on to
actually.
that, now what I'm going to show you is actually going to totally shock you. So now think for one minute. One, I'm calling the people of Rome, Istanbul is Rome, and I've just turned around and said, they're not Romans, they're Byzantines. And I'm doing, and one guy said that, he says it, and then after the 18th century, it became official history in Western universities. So the word Byzantine replaced Roman. People can check this.
Mm-hmm.
Yes, the Roman Empire was changed to the name Byzantine as long as it was in Istanbul.
Mm-hmm.
And the it turns around and says the Byzantines, they call the people of Eastern Europe, don't call them Byzantines because they're not Eastern Byzantines. They call their empire Roman Empire. That's why you will notice that there is the Armenians or Romans, Armenians,
Mm-hmm.
and then there is the Romanians, yes, and Istanbul is in the middle. Yes. So this is the first thing. Now let's go on to the next thing. Yes. Why did he say that? And why have historians used it after the 18th century? So now have a look at this. It's because what he said, yes, and the people who said we cannot call this Rome anymore is because they said that Byzantine was the enemy of Rome and Greece.
Mm-hmm.
We hate them. Yes. So that's why we're going to call them Byzantine. So they didn't like them. They gave them this name Byzantine, and they're giving it a lie now, trying to make it nice and saying, oh no, this was the name of a village there. But they did it to separate ancient Rome. So now the thing is, then they turned around and said, hey, ancient Rome is in Rome. Who said ancient Rome ever existed?
Right.
Who said it was ever in Italy? Because if you check the population of Rome, in the 16th century, 15th century, it was a village of 10,000 people,
Mm-hmm.
farmers, and a walled place with a few buildings. And what many people don't know is this: yes, when the Turks, these so-called Turks, and their army was 70% Christian, with Germans, Russians, Poles, and other people. Yes, after they attacked Istanbul and they took it over, yeah. I want you to imagine Istanbul at that time. It's the biggest city in the world.
Mm-hmm.
Biggest city in the world. Yes. And not only that, yeah, the name Constantinople sounds ridiculous. Ask any Greek and say, did your grandparents call that place Constantinople? They'll say never. The city was just called the city. Yes. Ask the Muslims. Yes. After World War I, they changed the name. The name of that city was called Jerusalem.
Mm-hmm.
Yes. Now, if you can check that what do you call it? Yes, that Istanbul. So now I'll show you this, and this is going to actually shock you. Yes. Why they stole the name Romans, and you'll soon figure it out. Yes. So many people don't check this. They don't teach you in school because they don't want you to know, because this is very serious. Now, the thing is, Constantinople, I've just sent you now worldhistory.org. Yes, it turns around and says, was known as the New Jerusalem. No, it was never known as the New Jerusalem. Constantinople was called Jerusalem to the people of Europe. Yes, you can check. There's I've sent you some links from
Yeah.
Heidelberg University, from a university education website in the UK. It was known as Jerusalem. Yes, it was known as Jerusalem. And what did they do in that city? Yes, let me show you what Jerusalem actually means. Many people don't even actually check it. So I'll show you Jerusalem. You could say even in modern Hebrew, the fake artificial language, is two words, Jar and Usalam. Yes, in Arabic it's Dar and Uslam. Yes, two words. Yes.
Yeah.
So Dar means city, of Uslam means Usalam or Ushalam or Isalam, or however you want to pronounce it. Yes. So it actually means the city of Salam or peace, or city of Salem, or city of Islam. Now I've sent you another thing. Now Professor Anatoly Fomenko has done deep research on this and has made videos, wrote books about it, that you can actually check descriptions of the New Testament. And the New Testament, the city of Jesus Christ, where Jesus Christ actually lived and walked around, the descriptions match Istanbul. Now, in the Old Testament, it mentions a Jerusalem, and that matches, in some places it matches where the Temple of Solomon is, it matches Istanbul. In other places where the reconstruction of the temple happens, it matches Moscow. Now, now any city that followed a system called Uslam or Islam in the past became known as Jerusalem. Jerusalem.
Yes.
This is why many people will say Scotland has a Jerusalem. Edinburgh is Jerusalem. Many Scottish people will argue about it. There's many blogs, websites. They're going to argue about it. Yes, it was, because it was a city of peace, or a city of Jerusalem, or a city of Islam, or a city of Islam. Many people in Spain will say, no, 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 Barcelona. This is Golgotha is over here. Mount Carmel is over here. If you go to Barcelona, they'll say that because there's all these descriptions there, and the layout is similar, because that was another city of Jerusalem. Yes, city of Islam or Islam.
Yes.
Now, nobody mentions this history except the Quran. And Fomenko has mentioned it too. He said that Jerusalem was a generic word, that it was used in many places. Now, in America, in Utah, they're going to say Jerusalem's over there. Many people will say it's in Africa, South Africa. Yeah.
Like
Some
I said, some say it's in
Japan.
Germany.
Yes.
Yeah, but this makes sense then,
Yes,
that many
yes,
find it if they were all those type of cities. Yeah.
Yes, it's because I'll give you an example now. Imagine right now, yes, if you went to Los Angeles, you'll find a place called Little Tokyo. It's because the Japanese have gone there and they thought, we want to replicate Tokyo. A few Japanese shops, we can have our Japanese food, buy our Japanese kimonos, clothes, etc. So you'll find, you know, Chinatown in Manchester, Chinatown in New York. Yes, because they're duplicating it. So what happened is, anybody who followed this system called Islam or Islam, which nobody wants to talk about, yes, who followed this system called Salam, they will name their city Jar, yes, in modern English, Jar, Islam, Jerusalem. Yes, and nobody wants to talk about it. And then even these people, yes, even these people who are, you know, like pro, they support these things, that there is a Jerusalem in Scotland, or Jerusalem in Barcelona, Jerusalem in Peru, yes, Jerusalem in Germany, Jerusalem in Russia. The moment you're going to tell them, hey, did you know that's because there was a global system called Islam or Islam before? Then that's it, they'll walk away. And then you're never going to know. They're just going to say, it's a mystery. But then on the other side, you got these Muslims, and everybody's wondering what's wrong with them. That they're saying that these people in the other side of the world are hiding something, or the liars, that they just want to ignore that these facts are there. Yes. So now this is what Jerusalem is. It's because Islam was here before this man called the Prophet Muhammad. Yes. This is that's why there's all these cities called Jerusalem. And that's why when they met each other, in modern Hebrew, Shalom Aleichem, or in Arabic, Salam Alaikum.
Yes.
Or so the thing is, then they're going to turn around and say, these Muslims are just making it up. No, they're not. If they're making it up, then why Jesus Christ himself was saying these things? It means that you know, Islam's not new; it's a system. Because in Islam, this Prophet Muhammad, in the Quran, it turns around and says that he's not brought a new system. He's come in this system while there is a war going on
Mm-hmm.
with the people who've claimed that they killed Christ.
Mm-hmm.
Yes,
Yes.
this comes back to the Crusades, because now the strange thing is the Crusades happened for a few centuries. Now let's have a look at this. This is going to really shock you. Yeah, this is from my book, The Crusades. Now the Fourth Crusade, as I've told you, went to Constantinople, and mysteriously, and they're supposed to go to attack Jerusalem, but now because at that time Jerusalem fell, yes, and they're burning churches, so they can't explain anything, and they turn around and say the Christians, they were supposed to take the Muslims, blah blah blah, but they went to the wrong place, blah blah blah, etc. So now anyway, the strange thing is Jesus Christ died 2,000 years ago, but then 1,000 years ago, yes, in Europe, everybody is angry and they're going crazy. People want revenge. They're getting angry. They want to fight a battle. Revenge for the murder of Christ. People want to fight. They're angry. Well, what's going on here? Imagine if you're waiting for the bus for 1,000 years. Keep waiting. 1,000 years. Keep waiting. But Jesus Christ died 1,000 years ago. And now they've suddenly woke up saying, hey,
Right.
somebody's just killed Jesus Christ.
Yeah,
let's
of
go.
course.
Let's go get revenge.
Makes no sense. Yeah.
Yes. So now we found 1,000 years there. And then 1,000 years, the Jews in Spain. So now the thing is, and then mysteriously, they're going there fighting against the church. Yes. So now the thing is, and then they tell you, yeah, I've sent you history.com, official history, what they're teaching you. The Crusades was wars between Muslims and Christians. Well, then these people have gone there to get revenge for the murder of Christ. So now let's have a look at this, these Crusades and the revenge for the murder of Christ, and they're mysteriously going to Constantinople. This is so strange. So now let me show you now. They're waiting more than 1,000 years, and now suddenly they want to go every year to fight. So now mysteriously, after 1,000 years, they find the Turin Shroud, and the Turin Shroud appears in around the 12th century. Same like the Crusades, 11th, 12th century. At the same time, they found the robe of Christ where he was crucified. And all these things mysteriously are found in Constantinople.
Right.
They're not found in Constantinople was Jerusalem for that time. You see? You know, right now, if anybody is looking for New York, Times Square, you're going to go to America. And you'll pay your flight tickets, you'll go to downtown Manhattan, you arrive at JFK Airport, you can go to 42nd Street or to Broadway, go and see these things. So now let's see what Constantinople was known for. This is just a simple search in yahoo.com. Yes. And what do we find? Constantinople was the holy city, or they say Second Jerusalem. Nobody called it Second Jerusalem. It was known as Jerusalem. This place, to the people of Europe, let's say, the normal people, yeah, to the normal people of Europe, this is the place where Jesus Christ is coming. And what they did is people went on a holiday or pilgrimage to Jerusalem.
To Turkey, just like they do now when they go on vacation somewhere in Turkey or Istanbul, yeah. Yeah, just don't know, but yeah.
But now we've got a problem. Why are they not going to the Jerusalem in the Middle East? Okay, I'll explain that in a minute now. So now to these people is because they lived closer to that time of Christ. So they know where Christ lived.
Yeah.
So now Christ gets murdered on the cross. That's what they're saying, crucified. So these people go to get revenge and they attack Constantinople. Oh, and they say Christ is coming back. Oh, he's coming back in Constantinople, Jerusalem.
Yeah.
And they're going on pilgrimages to Constantinople because that's Jerusalem. And that's where the biggest church was in the world, Constantinople, because it was Jerusalem. You see, yes? So now the thing is, when the Turks took over that city, mysteriously, these people ran away. Yes, and let me show you where they ran away to. So now can you imagine what Constantinople was? Constantinople is making pure money. They're selling tickets to heaven. Yeah, that's what the Orthodox Church, it wasn't Orthodox, it was just the church at that time. Yes, they're selling tickets to heaven. You got to pay to get inside the city walls. You got to pay lots of money. People are doing their pilgrimage, yeah, everything, because that's the only way to go to heaven.
Right.
So can you imagine the amount of gold and money they had? And at that time, all the coins in Europe were in gold, dinars, dirhams, and everything, and they're Arabic coins. Yes.
Mm-hmm.
So now they've got all this money. So now when Constantinople is mysteriously being attacked by the so-called Turks, and their leader becomes Caesar, Mohammed II, but he's a Caesar, yeah, which
Mm-hmm.
nobody is questioning. Yeah. What happens is these people, they run away with all that gold. Now, let me show you where they ran away. Now, that's when you'll start to think, now I'm beginning to see why the Bibles mysteriously were printed during and after the Renaissance. And the Renaissance happened in the 15th century, 16th century. Now, have a look what I've just sent you. Yes? The nobility, the people in power, the rich and everything took all the gold, because in them days the currency was in gold. They took the gold and they fled to southern Italy, and then they went to that village called Rome that had 10,000 people. And from there they expanded with all that gold. Can you imagine what type of an army you can raise?
Right. Yeah. Mm-hmm.
And then suddenly these inquisitions happen, and the Cathars, they say they attacked in the 13th, 14th century. But actually, the evidence shows that really happened in the 15th, 16th, 17th century. The Vatican started going in there, the Protestant Reformation, everything, and then mysteriously the people who took over Constantinople, called these Turks, they suddenly come to attack Vienna in the 16th, 15th and 16th, 17th centuries.
Yes.
It's because the Vatican had moved over there. Yes, and then what people don't check is that Europe's confrontation with Islam, or this Jerusalem, or whoever it was actually a major reason why the Renaissance happened. And what did these people do? They mysteriously came with these Greek Gospels, or they claimed that they came with all these Greek books to Rome.
Ancient Greek, yeah.
No? Yes. Yeah. And yes, and this is when we've suddenly got all these Greek New Testaments. Yes. Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Are you beginning to see? Mm-hmm. And so now the thing is,
so just understand, they claim that they brought it from Constantinople, basically.
Yes.
But they probably just made them up anyways, or how?
Yes. And this is when they made a new Rome. Now the Middle Ages, yeah. So they've arrived now in the 15th, 16th century Renaissance. Suddenly, after they just got defeated in Constantinople, because the Crusades happened for many centuries. Now imagine if Jesus Christ has died, you've got your revenge. That's it, game over. But now these Crusades and all these other things, they keep coming back, and there's fightings going on, Alemanni, whatever, just attacking these churches everywhere. Muslims, Slavs, barbarians, everybody's attacking these churches.
Everyone is against them, of course, if they are the real invader force.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes. So now I've sent you Britannica Encyclopedia, and then you can have a look at this. Most people don't check this. I'm even surprised that historians can't even hide this. I think they're going to hide this within 100 years. Middle Ages, yeah, the time between before the Muslims or these Turks took over Istanbul, Constantinople. The Middle Ages is 1,000 years before that date, before the Renaissance. And it says this idea was created by the Italian Renaissance men. They call them humanists, Jesuits, blah, blah, blah. And they created this with hateful intent.
Yes.
Look at Britannia, they're using difficult words to make it hard for anybody to study. Invidious intent.
Invidious,
they do that on purpose. Yeah, they turn around and call the Cathars were heretics, because everyone's going to turn around and think, hey, we don't understand what it means. It means we don't like them. They don't believe us.
Yeah, exactly.
They're not going to pay us money. They've got no dollars. You understand? Because the church was collecting tax money. So the thing is, they had bad intentions, and they created the Middle Ages. Now, so now let's go further down in Britannica Encyclopedia that they're publishing, year after year, all around the world, teaching all these people all around the world. Yeah. Why did they create these Middle Ages? Yeah, because they wanted to separate 1,000 years from the time period after the Renaissance themselves to 1,000 years before that time.
Yeah.
So there's a 1,000 year time gap. Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah. And you can see. So now the strange thing is, Yeah, the strange thing is this. Now, many people are going to think, who are these Renaissance people? Jesuits, Masons, Knights of St.
Yeah.
John, they're Masonic Masons. Who are these people? And these Protestant reform, rebirth, renaissance.
Yes.
What is all this? Yeah. So now I've sent it you, encyclopedia. Humanism or the Renaissance. Who were these people? There were civil servants, diplomats, and secretaries in Italy's most important city governments, because they've just run away from
Oh, of
Constantinople and
course.
they've invaded Italy.
Right, because
They've
also
invaded.
all the Renaissance stuff or so much comes from Italy officially. So yeah.
Okay,
Yeah.
but let's have a look at who were these people. So now they say all these writers of the Renaissance, they were humanists, and who were they? Civil servants, diplomats, and secretaries. They are the CIA of that time. Yes, the CIA. Yes, yes.
Yeah.
You see. So
Yeah.
these people. So now what do? These people suddenly say that we have just found ancient Greece and ancient Rome.
Yeah.
And they're saying this history was missing for 1,000 years, and it was 1,000 years before. So now it's the 16th century, 1,000 years before that, according to them, in the official date for them is around the 600. Or according to them, this was the century of Muhammad when Muhammad is born. This is what they say. But now, if we get rid of 1,000 years, it means that Muhammad was not born in that century. If the dating calculation is done. So now the worst thing is the Muslim calendar starts, exactly around that time, that 1,000 years ago. And that Muslim calendar, the Muslims will follow the Jesuit history today. Many of these Muslims, they're following these things where it says many crazy stories, crazy stories. It's not even worth talking about. They're fighting with each other. But the thing is, their calendar is called AH, or after Hejira, or after Hijra. I'm not sure how to pronounce it, but it basically means after the Exodus. So now if you ask these Muslims what this Exodus was, they're just going to tell you a story. Yeah, it was in the deserts of Arabia.
Right. Okay.
Yes.
Yeah. Okay.
Yes. But this calendar was used by the Jews of Spain. So as you can see, if we're going to say the Exodus, yes, is 1,000 years ago, that's exactly, the humanists say, is from the Exodus period, or the time when Muhammad is born, according to the Jesuit timeline. Yes, up until the 16th century, the Middle Ages. They don't like that time period and they hate it. So now the thing is, let's have a look at what exactly is the Renaissance. So these people are all diplomats and government agents, all these Renaissance writers. The majority of them are government agents.
Yes.
Nobody's asking a question. Even in my book, I didn't write it with those words. I wrote it civil servants and diplomats. Actually, I think I should change the words, because the average reader
to make it
gonna
clear.
wake up.
Yes. Yes.
Yeah, these are James Bond type of guys thinking we've got to mess people's heads up. Yeah. So now the thing is, this is from, I've sent you a new page, joe.carmacy.uk, Cambridge University. During the Renaissance, ancient Rome and ancient Greece was rediscovered. Nobody knew about it for 1,000 years. It seemed like I can say ancient Antarctica and the ancient planet Mars. Oh, don't you know? Don't you know, Raphael? The people in Europe forgot about it for 1,000 years.
Yeah, this is always ridiculous.
Europe, they came from
these time gaps.
Yeah, they came. Yeah, so they've just said we've just found ancient Rome and ancient Greece. Yeah, rediscovered it, and then they're saying we found all this ancient art, sculpture, and ancient Roman coins after 1,000 years that nobody knew where these things were. Yeah. And who found them? All these humanists and Jesuits.
Government officials.
Yeah. Yes, CIA agents. Now they've just found all these works, and who are these people? Leonardo da Vinci and all the rest of them. Yeah. Name them all, but nobody's asking questions. Who the hell are these people?
Yes.
They're all what do you call it? CIA agents.
No. They're just a few geniuses that randomly appeared. It's all
Yes.
Yeah.
So now, at that time, what many people don't notice is that the Jesuits were humanists. Many people don't know this.
No. And just very briefly to reconfirm this, I went to one of the supposedly oldest schools in Vienna. I maybe mentioned this before,
Ah,
Akademisches Gymnasium, academic gymnasium, whatever. And here, even in official history, they state that this was initially a Jesuit school, and even then, and even today, it still has a humanist education, which, of course, generally
okay,
would be seen as, oh, that's very posh and very great. But
okay.
if you know this story, then of course it's a different thing. And there you can still learn ancient Greek and all of that stuff. So yeah.
Okay. Okay. So now the thing is, the Jesuits set up, yeah, most of the universities around the world,
Yes.
the Jesuits and the humanists. Now, the humanists, many of them went to Jesuit universities and
Yeah.
schools. What was a Jesuit university? They were just normal universities, the ones that we go to today. So what people don't realize is that most of these universities today are now controlled by the state. Rome University, Venice University,
Hmm.
Padua University, Frankfurt University, London University, etc., whatever they're called. Yes, but I've just sent you a new link, and this is from the Jesuits, Jesuit history. Yes, the Jesuits were created. Yeah, were they created to fight the Protestants? Were they created to fight on behalf of the church? They were created to open all these universities and schools.
Yes.
Why? So you've gone to this school, yes, and they've opened up all these schools, hundreds of them throughout Europe, not in Muslim countries, not in Turkey. And what was their objective?
Here it
To
says
convert
a
Muslims.
mission to the Muslim world was the
To
objective of
yes. So
Loyola.
who were these Muslims if the Jesuits are in Europe?
Yeah.
They're opening schools in France, in Paris, Frankfurt, Erfurt, Vienna,
Yes.
you know,
Yes.
you name it, Prague. So now do you see what I'm getting at? This Islam was here before the Prophet
So,
Muhammad.
but
The
basically this
Muslims don't
means
mention it.
if the dating at least of their own schools is correct and this timeline, these few hundred years are correct in the new timeline, then we could basically assume that before they established these schools, most of Europe most likely followed some sort of original
Followed a
Islam.
system called Islam
Yeah.
or Salam.
Yes. Yes.
Yes,
Hmm.
and the thing is, this was not the Islam of just the Prophet Muhammad, because the Quran says that Islam was here before. That's why they had cities called Jerusalem, and people used to say Shalom or Salam or Salem. Yes, and they had cities of Salam. Yes, and that's what they say is the original religion of Moses. So the Jesuits were created for that. So now the Jesuits are opening up schools, universities, blah blah blah, all over France, Spain, Germany. But their mission is to convert Muslims.
Yes.
So now let me show you what the Jesuit schools were doing. So I've sent you links from right now from life science as well. Wait, why did I send you life science? This is why. So the Jesuits now control all the official schools that the churches and the people in power control. And in other cities and villages, they haven't got control of them yet. This
Yeah.
is why the so-called Turkish invasions happen, because they've come to try to stop the church taking control of these other schools, other cities, I mean, is because that church, the Vatican, is the church from Constantinople that ran away to Rome. It wasn't a separate church. They've just run away. And they're pretending it's the Catholic Church and we're against the Orthodox. No, it's
Right.
the same people. They've just run away. So now they've opened up all these schools and universities. Who goes to these schools and universities? It's everybody thinks that in them days, it's a university same like you and me today. No, it's the same like, do you know when you go to a CIA training
Yeah,
center?
it's like for the
They've got them
elite.
in
Yeah.
every city in America. They've got, about 1,000 or 2,000 students in each of their training centers, every year. So these universities, they are not universities that we are imagining today. These were the Vatican CIA centers.
Yeah.
Where they're training people about ancient Rome, ancient Greece, and how to fight back against this system that is the system of Jerusalem or the system of Moses. You see?
Yes.
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 So now that's what they've done. So now what they did was they're preaching about Greek, ancient Rome, and this is what they're doing. Aren't they supposed to be preaching Christianity?
Right. Yeah.
Aha.
Yeah.
So what they were doing, they were training people to be diplomats. Yes. So the thing is, they went all around the world. But now, if anybody does a Google search for, I'm just going to do a simple search, and then I'll send you a copy so that people can check through it themselves. Let me just do a simple search of crucifixion, Renaissance paintings. yeah, or Middle Ages.
Mm-hmm,
Yeah,
mm-hmm,
so I'm just doing a
mm-hmm.
simple Google search, and let's have a look at what we can see. This is what they'll find, an example of the images. Now, these images, you'll find people made them in Germany. People were painting them inside churches on church walls. They're making them in Italy, France, Switzerland, Holland. They're making them everywhere. Austria, many places. Now, the strangest thing is this. Now, this is what really got to me. Yes, in up to half of the famous paintings. Here's a painting I've just sent you now. This is by Jules van Cleef during the Renaissance. I think he's from Holland. Have you received that picture?
Oh,
Have you
yes,
received?
yes, got it, yeah.
Yeah, yeah. What you'll notice is that it's got castles from Istanbul, and it's got the waterway from the Bosphorus. There's the Bosphorus. There's two waterways at the Bosphorus. Can you see the picture? And can you see that
Yes.
castle? It's called the Roman Castle, or in modern Turkish, it's called Rumeli Castle. Can you see it?
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
So the crucifixion, did it happen in the Middle East, or did it happen in Europe?
Right, rather doesn't look like the desert to me, or whatever in the Middle
It's not
East it
about the
should be.
desert. Can you not see? I've sent you
Yeah,
two
yeah.
pictures.
No,
Look.
no, I can
Yeah,
see. Yeah, yeah.
it's an identical match.
Yeah.
That
Mm-hmm.
I've sent you
Mm-hmm.
another poster showing it's on my Facebook showing he's from Antwerp, and because the thing is, many people, they went to their pilgrimages. Yes, when they came back from the pilgrimages, yeah, probably 10 years later. Can you imagine these paintings? Some of them are 2 meters big, or 3 meters wide, or 4 meters wide, and it involves about 50 to 100 people to paint these pictures. Many people are
Mm-hmm.
involved.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, there might be the main director and people assisting them. And the thing is, and these Renaissance painters were government agents. Yes.
Mm-hmm.
So now when they're doing it, yes, they want to advertise Jerusalem, and they're trying to make people hate the Muslims, and they were and things like that. So they want to make people hate the Muslims, and they're trying to show that Christianity is the truth, and these people are the enemies of Christ. They killed Christ. They were trying to blame the Muslims, even
Mm-hmm.
though the timeline doesn't match. Yeah. So now the strange thing is, these people are going to pilgrimages and they're coming back. People know where Jesus Christ was crucified. Yeah. What do you see there? The people in their memory, they're drawing pictures of Constantinople.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
This is the strange thing. Let me send you. You can check half the paintings from the Renaissance,
But
half the
this
famous
would
paintings.
kind of mean that the Jesuits didn't change the timeline early enough, or didn't tell them to paint it differently, because they could have just faked it and
Right.
paint something else, no?
I'll give you an example now. When the Jesuits were painting Venice, they painted Venice at that time. So now the thing is, when the Jesuits were painting Jerusalem, they painted Jerusalem. And then here's another picture of the crucifixion.
Yeah.
What you'll see is that they've all got the Bosphorus there, with the other side of the Bosphorus with ships passing through the middle.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Yeah, you'll see it's in many of these paintings that you'll like, for example, here is one, and you'll see and what you'll see the Sultanahmet Jami, or mosque, and you'll see Galata Tower from the Galatians. Yeah, and you can see the Hagia Sophia, or Hagia Sophia temple. Yeah, you can actually see these things in many of these paintings. It's very suspicious that
Yeah.
these paintings all over Europe, yes, that people are going there to examine, and you'll see something strange. You will see that there's some people who know these things, like me, and these people who are in secret societies. They'll stare at these paintings for 20 minutes or half an hour, and nobody knows what they're staring at. Now you know what they're staring at. They're saying, "Hey, have a look. I've been there. That's the Bosphorus. That's this. That's Galata Tower. That's that waterway.
Mm-hmm.
That's the Hagia Sophia." It's because they know. Yes.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Now the thing is, this is something that many people don't know because they don't check. Yeah. But when I was about 16 or 17, there was some Arabs in my high school. Yeah. And one of them was from Iraq and one was from Palestine. And then at that time, I was only 15 or 16. And I turned around and said, "You're from Palestine?" And he said, "Yeah." And I said, "Where's that?" So I didn't have a clue much. I did, but things like, and then he was telling me, and he got upset when I said Jerusalem. And he said, "That's not Jerusalem." I said, "Eh?" So now have a look at this. They wait before you look at the next page. And he said, we call it Quds. Quds. I said, eh? And I said, who's we? And then I started having a look, and I noticed that the entire Muslim world, 1 billion people, yeah, who are not educated in Western schools, they call that city Quds. And they call Istanbul, or Jerusalem. They called that, until the name was changed after World War One. The British, the Americans, and the French occupied Istanbul, same like they occupied Baghdad and Afghanistan, and they were refusing to leave until a few terms and conditions were met, and the Turkish government, or whoever became the new government, mysteriously changed the name. So I think they were forced to do it. Yes. Or that was called Jerusalem. Yeah, and now if you have a look at the next thing, yes, the Vatican. And the French, the British, and the Americans, they were sat there in their offices in the 19th century saying, where shall we put this new Jerusalem? Oh. Yeah. So now I've sent you things from Wikipedia and newspapers around the world and institutions. They were thinking of putting Jerusalem in next door to Brazil. Then they thought that plan was a failure. Then they thought, let's put it in Uganda, in Africa. That plan failed. Then they said in Madagascar, they failed. Then they said, we'll put it somewhere inside the Soviet Union. But how could they have done that unless it means that they were together with the Soviets?
Right.
You see? Yes. Then they were going to do it in Australia. But that plan failed. It was too far. Then they said, let's do it in Cyprus. But they knew that wasn't possible because, the Turks would have an invasion about that. So then they said, let's do it in the Mount Sinai area. They failed. Then they said, let's do it in Alaska. Can you imagine if they said Jerusalem's in Alaska? Do you know what they would have said? We've just found ancient crosses near the North Pole.
Yes.
Christ went to heaven from the North Pole. You know it's a scam. Then they were going to put Jerusalem, in eastern Saudi Arabia next door to Iran. Then, do you know what happened in the end? They turned around and said, we've just found a village here, a small town here called Quds. Yes. And then they suddenly said, this is Jerusalem. And the thing is, this plan was decided in the 18th, 19th century. And some maps, if they say there's maps that are older that says that Jerusalem's there, they're forgeries. It's because they didn't even know where they were going to put Jerusalem. So you see, so this, there's just
Or there were many Jerusalems anyhow, but different
There were
ones.
many Jerusalems, but the thing is, I'll give you an example now. It's like this, there's Manchester in England, there's Manchester in America.
Right.
Yeah. So now the thing is, it's like, so there were many Jerusalems because the system of Jerusalem, the sister of Islam. Yeah, if I'm English, I will pronounce the word Jerusalem, or it's really Islam or whatever it is. Yes, this system, yes, was an important system. Many people followed this system. So any city that followed the system, people used to call it that in their region, the regional capital. Yes, the regional, city of peace. Yeah. So now the thing is, they didn't know where they were going to put this new Jerusalem. So as you can see, this new Jerusalem is a fake. All these Renaissance paintings and everything. Yeah. Why are they showing it's in Istanbul? Why did the Crusades happen to Istanbul? Why were people going to pilgrimages? Why was Istanbul the city of the second coming? There's just a bit too much evidence there. It's not like a little. You know what I mean? It's like I've sent you a few pictures, but I can send you hundreds if you want. They're all on Google. Yeah. So people can take a look at them. Yeah.
Perfect.
Yeah. Well, anyway, Raphael, let's wrap it up at that. Yeah, Jerusalem.
Which is a tiny bit of information from David. Thank you so much. It was very great.
Let me finish it off.
Yes, please.
Yeah? The main Jerusalem, yes, there were many Jerusalems. Now, the New Testament Jerusalem of Jesus Christ, the way it's described, actually matches the one Constantinople Jerusalem. Now, there is 2 Jerusalems mentioned in the Old Testament. There's 2 different descriptions. Professor Anatoly Fomenko goes through them. He's done videos of them to show their even dimensions, layouts. One of them matches Moscow, and then the Hagia Sophia matches the Temple of Solomon. Yes, and that's why he identifies Sultan Solomon with King Solomon of the Bible and the fake Ottoman history. Yes, but anyway, all these informations are available, in my book, The Last Crusade, and about the lies in history. Yes, many people are not going to understand it without going through the book that's called Code 19. And anyway, I've sent you a copy of The Last
Yes.
Crusade. Yeah, and another book is Skull and Bones. Yeah, read through them both, and then
I will.
hopefully we'll talk another day. Yes.
Great. Thank you very, very much
Okay.
as
Yes.
always.
Have a nice
Thank you
day.
so much. Thank you. Good
Okay.
night.
Yeah. Bye.